Hello, and welcome back to Cyber Risk Management in Practice. In this short segment, we're stepping into the world of frameworks and why they matter so much in managing cyber risks effectively. You've probably heard the phrase, security is a journey, not a destination. That's especially true here. In cybersecurity, the landscape is always shifting, and because of that, perfection isn't the goal, adaptability is. That's where risk management frameworks come in. They give us structured guidance to identify, assess, and respond to risks in a way that's repeatable and scalable. Now, here's something many organizations get wrong. Risk management frameworks are not the same as security program frameworks. They work together, but they serve different purposes. A security program framework, like NIST CSF or ISO 27001, helps you build and run your overall cybersecurity program. It's the blueprint for how to protect systems, detect incidents, and recover when things go wrong. On the other hand, a risk management framework focuses on the process of managing risk itself. It's about how you identify what could go wrong, assess the impact, decide what to do about it, and monitor over time. Recognizing this distinction early can save you a lot of confusion and help you put the right tools in the right places. So next, we'll explore the most well-known risk frameworks, how they work, and how they connect to the control frameworks you might already be using. Now that we've cleared up what a risk management framework is and how it's different from a security program framework, let's take a look at some of the most widely used ones in practice today. Each of these frameworks offers a slightly different angle, but they all aim to help you manage cybersecurity risks more intentionally. Let's start with the NIST Risk Management Framework, or RMF. It's a seven-step process that integrates security and risk management into your system development lifecycle. You go from prepare to categorize, select, implement, assess, authorize, and monitor. This framework is especially common in U.S. federal environments, but it's widely used elsewhere because it emphasizes continuous monitoring and structured risk decision-making. Next is ISO 27005. It's designed to support organizations using ISO 27001, and it's flexible enough to work across industries and organization sizes. It walks you through 5 phases, from establishing context to risk assessment, treatment, communication, and ongoing review. If you're working within an information security management system, this framework helps bring risk management into that process in a practical, structured way. Then we have CIS RAM. This one connects directly to the CIS controls. It's designed to help organizations implement those controls based on actual risk scenarios. What's useful here is its focus on practicality and legal defensibility. It encourages decisions that show due care while keeping your business objectives in focus. And finally, there's FAIR, the factor analysis of information risk. FAIR stands out because it quantifies risk in financial terms. It shifts the conversation from vague labels like high or critical to things like estimated losses in dollars. That makes it easier to prioritize and communicate risk across the organization, especially with leadership. Each of these frameworks can stand on its own, and you don't need to use all of them. What matters is choosing the one that fits your context and using it properly. But here's the key. Risk management frameworks don't work in isolation. To be effective, they need to be paired with the right security control frameworks, the tools that actually help you carry out your decisions and reduce the likelihood or impact of risk. That's where we're heading next, how these two types of frameworks support each other, and why combining them is central to building a cybersecurity program that actually works. At this point, we've talked about several risk management frameworks. They all help you figure out where the risks are, what they mean for your organization, and how you might want to respond. But identifying and prioritizing risks is only part of the story. What actually helps reduce those risks? What puts your strategy into motion are security control frameworks. Here's how they work together. Think of your risk framework as the planning process. It's how you assess your environment, evaluate your options, and decide which risks are worth treating. Once you've made those decisions, you need a set of concrete actions, and that's where control frameworks come in. Security control frameworks, like NIST 853 CIS controls or ISO 27002, give you the actual building blocks to implement your decisions. They offer detailed, often prioritized lists of technical, administrative, and procedural controls, things like access management, encryption, employee training, and incident response. So if your risk framework helps you understand what you need to address, your control framework helps you figure out how to address it. The two are not interchangeable, but they're also not optional. Using one without the other usually leads to either unclear priorities or scattered efforts. By combining them, you're not just reacting to threats. You're building a cybersecurity program that's intentional, consistent, and capable of adapting as your organization grows. Next, we'll walk through the main control frameworks and see what they actually offer, so you can choose the ones that fit best with your risk strategy. Let's walk through three of the most widely used control frameworks. First, NIST 853. This is a detailed catalog of over 1,000 security and privacy controls. The controls are grouped into 20 categories, from access control and training to supply chain security and system integrity. You don't need to implement all of them. The idea is to tailor your selection based on the risks you've identified through your risk management process. Next, we have the CIS controls. These are prioritized, actionable best practices designed for organizations of all sizes. There are 18 control groups, covering everything from asset inventory and data protection to incident response and vendor management. What makes CIS controls especially practical is their tiered approach, with three levels of implementation. Level 1 is basic cyber hygiene. Level 2 builds more structure. Level 3 is for mature organizations facing advanced threats. It's a flexible model that supports cybersecurity growth over time. And then there's ISO 27002, often used alongside Annex A of ISO 27001. Together, they guide you through selecting and implementing controls based on your organization's specific risks. ISO 27002 offers in-depth guidance, explaining not just what each control is, but how to apply it. Think of it as a bridge between your strategy and your technical implementation, with a strong emphasis on alignment with your business objectives. Finally, let's pull it all together: risk frameworks, control frameworks, and how they work in real-world programs. So let's step back and look at the big picture. A risk management framework helps your organization figure out what matters most, what risks you face, how likely they are, and what kind of impact they could have. It gives you structure for making decisions and setting priorities. But knowing what to do isn't enough. That's where security control frameworks come in. They help you translate strategy into action, providing specific practices, technical safeguards, and organizational processes to reduce risk. When you combine the two with your cybersecurity program framework, you create a cybersecurity program that's not just reactive, it's intentional. It can scale as your organization grows, and it can adapt as threats change. Here's what matters most. You don't need to use every framework. You just need to use the right ones that match your context, your goals, and your maturity level. What's important is that the choices make sense for your environment. And one more thing, this isn't a one-time setup. A risk-based approach is something you grow into. You learn, adjust, and improve. That's what makes it sustainable. So if your goal is to build a pragmatic, evolving cybersecurity program, this chapter gives you the structure to do it. And in the chapters ahead, we'll keep building on that foundation, turning strategy into day-to-day practice in a way that works for real teams, not just theory. If this approach resonates with you, there's a lot more discussed in the book. Find your copy and embark on this journey with me, improving your cyber risk management program step by step with a practical approach.